So what we're going to do is we're going to use first name and last name and full name using the get line. So first thing we do is tell the user a prompt. What is your first name? Now instead of using CN, we're going to use something called Getline. So you just type in Getline. Assuming you can put in a G, you can type in Getline. And notice that it's there for you. And then what we want to do, it's not an equal. Basically, where are we getting the information from? We're getting the information from console input. So we're just typing in CN. And then where are we going to store it? So we're going to store it in first name. And obviously I have something wrong and it's not working and I am not happy. So what am I doing wrong?
First name, you need to capitalize the N.
Ah, thank you. All right, very good. I know Mylene is laughing, I'm sure. So, because this is totally inconsistent to what I did in the last video, where we had the first name all lowercase. So now we're going to do, see out what is your last name. And we'll do get line. Where are we going to get it from? Console input. What are we going to get? Last name. And then we'll do full name. And I guess I did it again. See out. Your name is Alright, so that looks good. Let's run it and see what happens. And this time we're going to do the Del Rio. So first name is Richard. Last name is Del Rio. So let's see what happens now. So this time it took. So basically what happens is the get line is going to put in characters that's in the button until you hit the enter key. So that causes one big major problem. So let me, before we do this, let's go and use our world famous CN on something. And we'll just call it number. We'll do C out. Enter a number. And then we'll do C in number. Let's see what happens now. Because we have a problem that you will hopefully see. So let's go and run this and see what happens. Okay, enter a number. We'll do 5. What is your first name? It never asks me to actually put in my first name. So what is my last name? We'll go back to Del Rio. And I have a blank first name and a blank last name. So what you need to remember, when you hit the CN, it's going to store a number right up into the point where you hit the enter key or something that is not an integer. So maybe this will make it a little bit clearer. Let's do this. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, L. Actually, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Richard. See what happens. And what is my last name? Del Rio. And look at this. It put in Richard in there. So why did it do that? Because when we entered a number using CN, we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just peachy keen. Now we have an R. So it ended it with the 5. But in the keyboard buffer, in the CN, however we want to call it, it stored the Richard and the enter key. So that's why when I hit the first name, it automatically put in for the get line the RICHARD, and then the enter key is ignored. So the way you fix that is you use something called ignore. So what you do is you want to put in CN dot ignore. And what do we want to ignore? Well, we want to ignore basically everything up to the end, but that's still going to run into a problem. So basically we're going to ignore, let's say, 100 characters, and then we're going to, whenever we get the enter key, whatever comes first, so we don't have to mess with it. So that's going to say, okay, let's ignore 100 characters or till we get to the end. So in this particular case, I'm just going to do 1. And let's see what that gives us. Okay, so, enter a number. Good job. That was real bright. Let's try this again. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Richard, and then Foster. Okay, so now look what happened. It ignored the R because we told it to ignore 1 character, but it put in the rest of them. So I always figure 100 is a great number. You can put 1,000 in there. Now let's run it and see what happens. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to type in Richard. And so it should ignore the first 100 characters, or stop when you hit the new line character. So let's go and see what happens now. So now we're in good shape. So now we're good to go. So that's the way Getline works. So here is the issue with CN. Remember, whenever you hit it, the enter key is going to get stored in the CN buffer. That's why you're going Getline. Where are you getting it for? You're getting it for CN. So what's happening here, you're hitting a number, then I'm typing in Richard and the enter key. So what's being stored in CN, the console in, is Richard and then the enter key. So we're good there. So that takes care of Getline. Is pretty easy to use. Just remember, after you use a CN, make sure before you use a Getline, do it. It's also a good idea to use the CN before another CN or the CN ignore, because if you did something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you hit an R, it's going to get rid of the R so you could enter another number.